in ministry for over 40 years. And not only as a pastor of a larger church, I have 9 pastors on my staff, as well as other directors and so forth. I have over 40 missionaries as well, and a full multi-staff, both in my missions agency and also in my local church. Having been in those kinds of positions, I've even pastored smaller churches, churches of 60, and larger churches as well. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter whether you're in a small ministry, a small church, a medium-sized ministry, or a medium-sized church, or a large ministry or a large church. The fact is, it is really challenging to raise up ministry volunteers. And I have made so many mistakes. And I'm going to come before you today. I'll never forget this, when I was a brand new pastor, and one of the corporate executives of a larger corporation came to me and he said, "Pastor, you're going to die. You're not going to live very long if you don't learn, first, the art of recruiting volunteers, and secondly, the art of delegation." And not only he, but many other men have taught me, and people have taught me these principles, but I didn't listen. I thought all I need to do is just preach the word of God. All I need to do is just pray, and God will just have people flock to me and volunteer, and not only volunteer, but continue with their ministry. Oh, a lot of people volunteered over my years of ministry. It's just keeping them there. And I'm sure that I could ask you a lot of questions. In fact, let me do that, and I'll repeat them so the camera can get these. But what are the challenges in recruiting volunteers? And by the way, these are the same principles for hiring people. I don't know if you knew this or not. Get it down, that the same principles for hiring people and firing people are the same principles for recruiting people and keeping them there, or in the unfortunate situation when you have to say to somebody, "You shouldn't be in this position." All right, so what are the challenges? Name some of them. What are the challenges in recruiting people? It's a resource. People are a resource. Yeah, right. Seeing people as a resource. And that, in other words, trying to get in your mind that you're not bothering people to ask them to serve the Lord. All right, good. Somebody else. What are the challenges? Commitment. Yeah, they like to volunteer maybe because it makes them look good. I'm a Sunday school superintendent, or boy, but they don't do the job. They just like the title. They like the badge on their chest. Yeah, good. What else? Anybody? What else? What are the challenges? How about moving too quickly and bringing somebody in? There's an old saying, it's easier to put a man in than it is to take him out. We've all had that experience, haven't we, of bringing somebody in a position and then they become friends, and then you're saying to them, "You're not really cut out for this thing." How about moving too slowly? You know, you have an opportunity and you need help, but you're afraid to ask, and pretty soon the opportunity goes away. How about people that overstate their ability? You ever had that happen? "Oh yeah, Pastor, I can do that." "Yes, sir, I can do that." "Oh yeah, I can do that." And they can't do it. What do you do then? How about people that are in a position and they don't do the job, and other people want to come and do the job, but they're already in that position, and you only need one? See, in the body of Christ, there are 3 kinds of people: VHP, VNP, and VDP. VHP are very helpful people. VNP are very needy people. VDP are very draining people. Draining. In other words, they cost you more than you can really give of time or talent or treasure. All right? They're expensive. And not just money. Listen, I've been a pastor of a small church where we didn't have the resource. Now I'm a pastor of a larger church, but we still don't have all the resources to do everything we need to do it. You always don't have enough money. You always don't have enough people. You always don't have enough time. Settle it, right? Ministry is busy. All right? So what I learned from these corporate executives and developed for my own self is what I call the 5 C's of selection. And I use this same principle for volunteer selection or hiring people, or to measure them as to whether they should or should not be in that position. The 5 C's: character, chemistry, competence, confidence, and cost. On your outline it says cash. All right, character first, chemistry, competence, confidence, and cash. I want you to memorize those. If you're going to be an effective leader, you got to keep those in mind at all times. You don't have this outline to run to. The first thing on the list is character. Are they people of integrity? That's important. When I hire somebody, let's take the hiring, or I recruit somebody for a volunteer, I have what I call a whisper policy. I say to them, are you the kind of man or woman that if I whisper in your ear that I don't want you there, you will slip out well? See, if they're people of character, you can move them around. See, if they're people of character, you can tell them, their feet stink and they need to take a bath. If they're ushers and they have bad breath, you can tell people of character, here's a mint. You see, and again, there are all kinds of illustrations there. People of character can be equipped and trained and moved around. So you want people that have integrity. You want to be able to walk away and know they're counting money and they're okay. You want them to be able to use your resources, that use your time, your talent, your treasures as a steward of God. And so you need people of character. That's first. So simple. And yet so many times people hire people or recruit people based on their position, their popularity, they're well known, they're tall and good looking, or they're whatever they are. All kinds of external ways that we, instead of the internal way, we need to bring people in. In Titus chapter 1, remember he says, go into those cities and appoint elders in every place. And the first thing he says is that they need to be beyond reproach, unimpeachable. These are people of character. That's number one. Top priority. Number 2 is chemistry. Are they the right fit? See, a person can have character and not fit. Let's take if you're picking a volunteer in your church youth group, and they're people of integrity. They're good and godly people, but they just don't fit with the direction that you as a leader are called to do. They just don't fit, or they just don't play nice with people. They clash. It's not that they're contentious people, but they have their own ideas and their own ways, and they come in with their own agenda, and you're saying, wait a minute, we want to do blue, and they say, no, we want to do red, and you say, well, we really want to do blue, and they're going to say, okay, wink, wink, and end up doing red. They don't fit. We all know what that means, and it's okay to say to somebody, you're not fitting. Now, in my case, if somebody is on my staff, and they don't fit, I move them to another department. Why? Because they're people of character first. So I'll move them around. That's why my staff stays a long time, because if they're not fitting, I had a college pastor that wasn't working. And I moved him into my adult ministries, and he is blossoming. I want people that are multi-talented, that can do many things, and you move them around because they're people of character. Okay? So when you're recruiting, you ask, do they fit? That's so important in our organization, our direction, our goals. The next one is competence. Are they capable of doing the job? See, so often we bring people in who are people of character, and they agree with us, and we like that. They support us, they're loyal to us, and we put them in a position, but they don't know what they're doing. And we don't have the time to train them in the fundamentals of youth ministry or music ministry. It'd be as foolish as bringing somebody in as a soloist in your church that's never sung in front of people. But the way we sometimes recruit people, don't we, is we would almost be like that. Well, they're good people. They agree with our church, or they agree with our ministry. They agree with the direction. They're good supporters. And let's put them in a position. It's called the Peter principle. You know what that is? Where you elevate somebody to a position, and they're there, and they do a good job, and then we elevate them to an even higher position, and they're incompetent. We think that somehow it's better. If a person is a third grade Sunday school teacher and does it well, we make them the Sunday school superintendent, and they don't do well. We all know this. So you want to ask competence. Now, when it comes to my staff or volunteers, if somebody can't do something, you have to train them. If they won't do something, you have to discipline them. Did you hear me? If they can't do something, then you have to ask, are they incapable because they don't know what they're doing and a little bit of training might help? Or they won't do it because they disagree with it. Then you got a problem. The next one is not after character, chemistry, competence, is confidence. Are you confident in them? Listen, look at my big brown eyes, everybody, okay? These Italian eyes, these Romanian, these Croatian, these Ukrainian eyes, or whatever they are. Look at me. When you start to lose confidence in a volunteer or a staff member, it should be a red flag of warning in your heart, because you are going to eventually get rid of that person. Eventually. Because what happens in the human heart is when you start to lose confidence in somebody, you'll start to find reasons why that's true. And given enough time, all of us are going to make mistakes, because only God can use a pencil without an eraser. We're all going to make mistakes. So you've got in your mind, I'm losing my confidence in that person. I don't believe they're right for that position. And pretty soon you start to, they drop a pen and you just put that in your little memory bank. They do something little, and pretty soon they'll do something big enough for you to say, I'm done. It's called the build up and blow up principle of leadership. We've all experienced that, where you just do that. When you start to lose confidence in a staff member or a volunteer, you need to be certain that you do your homework properly. You talk with them face to face. Don't build your agenda from the side, because that's what happens. We become what we call passive aggressive. We don't get mad, we just get even. And so confidence is huge. Then the last one is the cost, the cash. Are they worth it? Now, I'm not just talking about money. You may have a ministry that can afford the person. Maybe you're not paying them that much and they're a good deal. A lot of ministries hire people because they're a good deal. There are a lot of ministries that will hire people that are $1 a year. They're people of means, and so they don't need to be paid. And so they bring them in, and then they have problems. My philosophy is we pay. If it's a paid position, you pay them. If they want to give it back, let them give it back. But they understand it's a paid position and with paid responsibility. Now, having said that, the point is you're asking the question, is that person worth the price in terms of the time that you're spending? Some people are costly. You have them volunteering in your ministry, and they're very costly, aren't they? They cost you your time, or they cause problems. Or some of your major supporters start to say, I don't like that person. Let's say you put a youth leader in, and they're just abrasive. They're doing red when you said you're supposed to do blue, and they're not fitting in, and you're losing your confidence, and you're having to spend hours correcting the people that are reacting to them and saying, give the guy a chance. Or you're spending a lot of money doing whatever, or a lot of time doing whatever, or recovering from the things that person. Because some people are like battleships. What is a battleship? If you've ever seen a big giant ship, I was on a military aircraft carrier during the Vietnam War. So when you see this ship go through the water, it goes through the water beautifully in the front. But if you look in the back, there's a mile of muck. Some people are like that in their ministry. They're volunteering, they're serving, and they cut the water beautifully. From the front, they look good, but they create a mile of chaos behind them. You all know people like that. And you have to weigh, as a supervisor, as a boss, as a department head, you have to weigh whether it's worth it. I have some very high maintenance racehorses on my staff. A racehorse is very high maintenance, but they also do a lot for the ministry. But they cause a lot of problems, and they know it because they're always out front. They're always creating new ministries. That's their gift. That's their design. They're visionary people. Because some people are like battleships. Other people are like tugboats. A tugboat in a harbor is deep watered. It pulls the other ships out of harbor. It goes very slow. It's like a tractor on water. And their job is to go slow. And there are people in our ministries who God calls to slow us down. They're frustrating, aren't they? You want to just get out there and kill some bear for Jesus, and they're saying, wait a minute, Pastor. Wait a minute, Director. Wait a minute. Let's slow down a bit. Because they're tugboats. And you're going... So battleships that cut the water beautifully, and they create a whole mile of chaos. You got to count the cost. Tugboats that slow things down. Sometimes people slow things down too much. And you've got to weigh the cost. So here's how you put all this together. I'll take your questions, all right? And that is, it's not a perfect process, but it has saved me money and time, and I've been able to keep staff for quite a long time. Here's how it works. I simply go through these 5 things. Are they people of character? Chemistry? Competence? Do I have confidence in them? And are they worth it? And you would be surprised that if you'll do that in the raising and the recruiting of volunteers, how you recruit and who you recruit will come natural. Because you'll find, and we're going to talk about this in the next session, one of the biggest issues as to why we don't recruit is because we don't know how to delegate. And we frustrate the people we recruit. We frustrate the people we hire. But the first thing we want to do is to measure these things. Character is number 1. Don't get these out of order, by the way. Character first. And the moment you question their character, you need to deal with that. You need to deal with that. And if you're not forthright enough to deal with it, you're going to have problems in the future. Character first. Chemistry is second. Put them in the right position to where they fit. Chemistry and competence. Train them. And if they're untrainable, move them around. And if they can't be moved around and trained, then you're going to have to say it's not for you. And of course, weigh the cost. All right?